Hi there and welcome to my channel. I'm Jennifer. This is A Country Life, and today the plan was to get in the kitchen and do some cooking. You guys know that I love cooking on Sundays, and I thought, let's do that. So while Amber was vacuuming, I spent a good 45 minutes cleaning up the kitchen so that I have lots and lots of clear surfaces. Hello, Joe. And then look what happens.
I'm almost done.
Actually, you cleaned it up a little, which is really nice.
I know.
So she comes over and she's like, oh, look at all this beautiful clear space. I think I'm going to make some food. I guess you're like me. You like to cook on Sundays in the kitchen?
I guess.
Okay, yes, we see you, Joe. Tell us what you did today. No. Did Dad have you drive the tractor today?
I don't. No.
You can't remember?
I don't know.
Well, you came in 2 minutes ago all excited.
No.
All right. So what I wanted to do for you guys today is to show some cranberry recipes. We are completely done with cranberry harvest. I have lots of cranberries. I want to do some cooking. So first up here, we're going to make these cranberry walnut muffins. They're a little bit more of a cake-like muffin. So first up, I'm going to have to make some buttermilk because I want to get all my ingredients ready to go. I need a total of 1 1/4 cups. And since I don't have buttermilk, we're just going to make it. I use lemon juice. Put 1 tablespoon in there, and then we're going to put 1 1/4. We'll fill this up to the 1 1/4 cups line. Let it sit for just a couple of minutes. It'll kind of start to curdle, or not really curdle, but you'll just kind of see it start to, maybe that is called curdling, but it'll just not look quite like milk, okay? And in a little bit, we'll add this to the mix.
Then you have it. Then you can just buy more colors. Buy more colors. You know? Right.
So into the bowl of my KitchenAid, I'm going to put 3 eggs and 1 cup of oil.
It's really the gel that takes, like the top clear coat gel.
Yep.
It takes so long to dry, and I mean.
I'm also going to put in 1 3/4 cup of sugar. And then blend it all up. No, 2 teaspoons of vanilla. Just mix it up again with that vanilla. I need 3 1/2 cups of flour. So I'm going to put in the first cup, and then Maria's here. She wants to help out a little too. How's it going? It's hard. Yeah, it's good. That looks good. Yeah, a little bit right there. Looks good. Can you reach over there? I'll slide you up. There you go. Okay, now we're gonna, let's tap that a little bit. All right.
What do you want it on? What do you want it on?
Yep, number 1. Yep. We'll just mix gently for a little bit. Lift it up. You want to pour in the buttermilk. That was 1 1/4 cups. Remember, we made our own buttermilk.
Stop.
What's it doing?
Look at it. Oh, wow. Did you guys cook these in here last
No,
time?
we made them in the oven, but that's a good idea to do them in there. Yep.
Oh, I want to splash.
Did it splash a little? 1 1/2. So 1 whole one and then 1/2 of one. And then in here I put my like leavening ingredients and things. So I have a teaspoon of salt and a teaspoon and 1/4 of baking powder. Let me just double check that. Yes, and then 1/2 teaspoon of baking soda. So you put that in. Oh, that's okay. In this bowl, I'll just kind of gradually mix it around and then just give it a good shake over here.
And now you want 1/2?
Yep.
That
Oh, that looks like too much. Just 1/2. There we go.
half?
Yep. going to do is we're going to put in a little over 2 cups of cranberries, and then we're also going to put in some walnuts.
Does that look like enough? Does that look like enough? The cranberries in. Now one more. There. I dumped the first cup.
Okay, how's it going there?
That's 2 cups.
Okay, so one of the advantages that I have, being that we are cranberry farmers, and you know, I just get cranberries during harvest, and I get all of them, the big ones and the little ones. What's great about that is I can kind of sort out and keep all of the little ones for doing muffins and things like that, because we prefer to have our muffins and bars and, you know, other baked goods like that. We just prefer to have the whole cranberry in there, and so the littler cranberries actually work really nice for that. So if you find yourself at the produce department picking out your own bags of cranberries, there's nothing wrong with finding the little ones. I actually like them better. And then the big ones, though, we like to do with like dipping them, right? Dipping them in caramel. That's the best for the big ones. So just a little insider tip there for you guys. All right, so this is what it's looking like. We're just going to give it just a quick little mix there. That was it. And then I'm going to get some nuts chopped, and we're going to put the nuts in there as well.
The nuts.
I need to put a little bit extra cheese.
All right, thanks for telling me.
That I'm gonna be coming out if I can do first.
We're kind of a household of yellers. Not always because we're mad at each other, just because we're loud. All right, so everyone else is heading out because it is just a couple weeks until gun deer season, and so they're all sighting in their rifles. And so if you're unfamiliar with hunting, or you know, the lingo that I share here, sighting in rifles is sighting in your gun to be sure that it's on, you know, that you can shoot well at a certain distance. So we always shoot at 100 yards and make sure, is that correct, Sam? We do 100 yards or 125?
100.
Yes, 100. So we always sight in at 100 yards so that, you know, we're like dead on at 100. Then you can, then you know and understand how to adjust if the deer is closer or further away, right?
Yes.
Yes, okay.
Yes, sir.
Got pizzas going on in the background, and that's what everyone else is going to do. They're going to go sight in their rifles. I am going to finish the muffins, and then I'm going to go sight in my rifle. Add the walnuts.
What are we gonna eat?
Obviously, if you're not a nut person, you could add in like another cup of cranberries. This is a great recipe to add in other fruits as well. So if you like apples or blueberries with cranberries, raspberries, really any other fruit, you just really want about 3 cups of like stuff that you add to it. So I usually do a little over 2 cups of cranberries and then not quite a cup of nuts, and that seems to suit us just fine. Okay, let's mix these up by hand now and then get them into the muffin cups. I did already prepare those by spraying them with cooking spray. Okay, so these are ready to go in. I did do 1 pan with a sprinkling of sugar on top just because I think it always looks so pretty like that. But not everybody in my family likes it with sugar on top, so I made a pan of each. I do have a little bit of batter left, so I'm going to have to make a few more here after these come out. But I'm going to pop these in the oven now for about 18 minutes, and at that point I'll check them and put them in for a couple more if that needs to be. Oh my gosh, just about dropped that. First round of muffins are out of the oven. Actually, and I don't really know why this is, but the ones that I did not sugar the tops, they only were in for 16 minutes. They started to smell done, so I pulled those out. Nice golden brown bottoms. And then the other pan that I did sugar the tops of ended up having to stay in for the full 18 minutes. Not really sure exactly why that was, but that's just how it worked out. And I have a few more in the oven right now. I think 3 or 4. It was just kind of the end of the batter bowl. So those will be out in about 15 minutes or so.
on the one
And I wanted like a beat.
a year.
I know. Oh boy.
A vlogging mama that can shoot.
Yep.
Buddy, not that big. You want? I got a cushion here for you to cushion.
All right, we came down. I'm shooting a little high, it looks like Warren said, but I have a good group. There's my group, 1, 2, and 3. Emily was on the same target. This must have been her at first.
Yep.
And then she's in here.
Yep.
Right there, right there. That must be, she must have double holed that one.
I think so.
Wow,
And
nice
Amber's
shooting.
down there.
Amber's right down there. Okay, so there was
She
her
started
first.
here, and I
Yep.
think it was here, and here, and then she went boom,
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 and
boom.
boom. So
Nice.
she's good.
All right, those are gonna be some dead deer, let's hope.
Yep.
Sundays are always better with snacks. Let's take a look inside my latest Variety Fun box here. I really feel that this month the snacks are some of the best ever. They have really, really upped their game. You know, I like some of the up and coming brands, but the kids always like to see the brands that they are the most familiar with. Things like Oreos, Cheez-Its, Ruffles, Airheads, Nature Valley granola bars, the Andy Caps hot fries. There's just so many good things to choose from. There's even options like Pop-Tarts in this month's box and the Annie's organic snacks. So if you would like to order your own, please use code ACountryLife50 and save 50% off your first Variety Fun box. The link is in the description. The next recipe I'm going to be sharing with you all is this CRAN Cherry Pie recipe. It is so good. I'm going to walk you through all of the steps of homemade pie crust and give you a few tips when it comes to that. So this is actually going to be very simple because the cranberries are going to be used whole. The cherry portion is actually just canned cherry pie filling right from the store shelf. So we have to get started though by doing pie crust. So let's get that going here. So I just want to take all of the mystery out of making pie crust for you guys. What I have in here is 3 cups of all-purpose flour, and I'm going to add to it 1 teaspoon of baking powder, 1 teaspoon of salt, and then we're just going to whisk it just to mix it together. Now I know that lard oftentimes gets a bad rap, but it does have its place in the kitchen for sure, especially in an old-time country kitchen. So 1 cup plus another 2 tablespoons of lard is necessary. And I'm just going to eyeball the tablespoons. One way to become a faster cook, I think, is to be able to eyeball measurements. So if, like in the beginning, what I oftentimes would do is just kind of measure what I thought might be a teaspoon of salt in my hand and then scoop it up with the teaspoon and see, was I on or was I overestimating, underestimating, that kind of thing. I just cannot encourage you guys enough to be able to estimate your amounts. You'll be much faster in the kitchen and you dirty less dishes too, which is always a bonus. So we're just going to bring this over to the KitchenAid stand mixer, and I am going to just kind of pulse this a few times to get it kind of crumbly. If you have a cover for yours, which I do, this is a good time to use it. Okay, don't mind my mess. I really turned that on a little too high there. But this is what I'm going for. Can you see down in there? Sorry for that shadow there. Let's do this. So that is what I'm going for. It looks crumbly. There's some smaller, like pea-size crumbs. There's some little bit bigger ones. That's what I'm going for. You don't want to overmix it because you want to have a nice, tender, flaky crust. Okay, so back over here, we're going to make up the liquid ingredients. So I have 1/3 cup cold water, 1 tablespoon vinegar, and then 1 egg. these a whisk. Now back over here to the KitchenAid. I'm just going to turn this on low and I'm going to start to drizzle in. I'm always wanting to bring up like the flour mixture from the bottom. Awesome. Okay, and that is, whoops. And there we go. Even though it is November 9th, we are having unseasonably warm temperatures here over the last week. I'm looking out right now. It is actually 65 degrees. We have windows open and you can hear kids playing outside. They're actually getting their fishing poles ready to go fishing. Yeah, just unseasonably warm temperatures. Crazy, crazy. Okay, now I'm just going to grab up all of my dough. That's what it looks like. Okay, it's not, I just mixed it just enough for everything to be mixed and for it to stick together. I do not want to overmix my dough. This recipe will make a number of crusts. So this is going to make anywhere from 4 to 5 crusts, which is, obviously if you're doing like pumpkin pie, you only need 1 crust. If you're doing the kind of pie I'm doing today, we need 2 crusts. So I will have some leftover crusts. Hey, Joe. Come on down and say hi. Oh, he even pushes me out of the way.
Hello, dogs.
Dogs? Do you think there's dogs watching us?
Yes.
Yes, he says. Okay, so here we go. Here is my nice dough ball. It feels so good. What I like to do next is to just get this divided up. So I try to make just whatever shape, but something that's a regular style shape, like a rectangle or something like that. And I'm going to divide this into 4ths. So I know that there are a number of ways to roll out pie crust. I've seen it done where people will put down like 2 pieces of parchment paper or wax paper, roll in between that. That works well. I've done that. I've done it so many different ways too, but this is just my preferred method, just kind of the old-fashioned way. Now, I think the key though to getting a good crust is to have a nice circle. And when I roll out, I like to keep turning it so I keep it in a nice circle shape. If it's a little bit dry and it starts to split, then I like to just reshape it like that. Just always trying to keep it in a circle. That way, obviously, it's going to fit in the pie plate better. If it starts to get a little sticky, you can turn it over, swoop it around like that. Sprinkle just a teeny bit back on there. I like to work from the center out, just going kind of around, working and keeping it in a circle, or at least as much of a circle as I possibly can. So we have something like this, which is very narrow or very shallow, I should say. You're not going to need a whole lot of pie crust. This would be plenty for that. Now this would be what I would consider a little bit deeper dish Pyrex pie plate. This is going to need a little bit more pie crust because if you want it to come all the way up and hang over a little so you can make a pretty edge, you're going to need a little bit more. You can also just measure by laying it on the crust. And I'm going to roll this out just a little bit further here. Not much. It's very humid today. So I should have used just a smidge more flour for rolling out, but I think with some finesse I can definitely make this work. I like to fold mine in 4ths, just so. Yep, very, very humid. Pie crust is like bread dough in that the more humid, you're going to need either less moisture or you're going to need more flour, right? And we are going to use this pie plate today. I'm going to lay it in there with that point in the center and then just unfold it super carefully. right, we're going to use a little bit more flour this time.
There you go.
Okay, great. We've got homeschooling going on in the background. Sam just turned in his algebra lesson, so I'm going to be correcting that shortly. Well, as soon as we get the pies in the oven. Or pie. I'm just making one pie today. Okay, so let's roll this one out. Yeah, this is working much better with just a little bit more flour. It just rolled out perfectly and picked up perfectly. Yeah, so even though I have a lot of experience making pie crusts, still each one is always its own project. We're ready to get started on the filling. I have 3/4 cup of sugar in here. I'm gonna put 2 tablespoons of flour, or sorry, this is cornstarch, not flour. Cornstarch is a nice thickener. That is a little more of a clear thickener. It'll result in more of a clear gel versus flour, which is a little bit more of a cloudy. Don't want to tap those too hard. They'll break. From there, I'm going to put in 2 cups of cranberries. These are whole cranberries. And let me just show you. Look at the size of some of those cranberries. They're huge. I'm just going to stir this around just to coat all of the cranberries. This works really well with blueberry pie filling, apple pie filling, really whatever kind of your flavor is. It's a nice way to add, kind of dress up store-bought pie filling and just kind of make it a little extra special. So I'm just going to get this all stirred up and then we're going to get this into our pie crust. This smells so good. I always like to put a couple dollops of butter into my pies. Just gives a really good, rich flavor to them. You can see I'm just doing little teeny tiny dollops. Literally, they're probably 1/4 to 1/2 teaspoon dollops. I'm gonna just put 5 in there. And then we're gonna do the same thing with the top crust that we did with the bottom. We're just gonna put that point in the center and then unfold it. And this one turned out so much nicer than that bottom crust. Now, since I don't have a huge amount of overhang there, I'm actually going to use all of that crust because my bottom crust was a little shy. So what I'm doing is I'm lifting up, I'm finding my bottom crust here and I'm just wrapping the top crust over top of it. And that way it seals in. All of the juices. It's probably not going to seal them in perfectly. We'll see how it all comes. Like I said, every single pie is its own project. All right, now I like to just go around and make sure that nothing is like hanging over the edge of the pie plate. And now we're going to make a pretty fluted crust. So I'm just going to lift up some crust and then just kind of pinch it on an angle. And in the spots where you don't have quite as much dough, that's okay. I mean, I don't think anybody expects a homemade crust to look like a store-bought. I honestly don't want it to look like that. I want it to look like I put a little love into this, which I did. All right, so here we go. Look at this side is just, I would say beautiful because I had enough dough. On this side, you can tell it's just a little bit flat, a little bit small over here. That's all right. I'm going to use this same knife that I did with the with the lard. We're just going to put some pretty, oop, that one didn't look so pretty, did it? Just kind of around. Sometimes you can make a little design if you want. Okay, I'm going to put one in the center as well. That just helps to vent it, and it lets some of the steam out so that it doesn't push up the crust and then just start to bubble all over. It's kind of like putting the lid on a little bit cockeyed when you're maybe boiling pasta or something like that. You don't want it to boil over. You let out some of the steam, and then it just everything stays where it needs to stay. So I'm going to get my oven preheated to 425 degrees for this pie, and then put it in there basically until the crust is as dark as I want it. That's going to be somewhere between 35 and 55 minutes. Okay, I'm going to get everything cleaned up. I think that should give me just enough time to get this all cleaned up before the oven preheats. And yeah, then I'll just be rocking and rolling here. Since we had some extra pie crust from this recipe, I just formed them into 2 discs, wrapped them in saran wrap here, and then put them into a freezer bag. I'm going to put these in the freezer, and you know what? I will now have a couple crusts all ready for Thanksgiving, which will be a treat. Okay, the 35-minute timer just went off, and that is what the pie is looking like. So it does look like the edges are starting to get nicely brown. So what I'm going to do is cut a piece of foil and just put that around the edges. They do make like little aluminum, I think they're made out of aluminum, like a little circle, a little ring that you can put right over your pies. I just have never invested in one of those. I find it works just fine to use foil. Okay, so I just laid it over the top like that, and then I'm gonna have to put my camera down, and what I'm gonna do is just use a pot holder and just kind of crimp it just a little bit around the edges there. And then I'm gonna just bake this for about another 10 minutes. Okay, that is a beautiful pie. Now, one thing that you can do that I did not do this time, but one way to make a pie look extra special as well is to kind of brush it with a little bit of milk and then sprinkle some sugar on it. That also makes it look very pretty. But here we can see that the lower part of the crust is nicely done. It's steaming nicely. This is a cherry cranberry pie, Peter. So we're gonna let this cool, because this type of pie needs to cool for quite a while before it's just, you know, before it's even eating temperature. And then we'll serve it with some Cool Whip.
Pie warm.
You do like warm pie? Well, you know what? Probably in about 2 hours, you can have a little piece of pie. What do you think? With some Cool Whip? Can you wait that long? You're a goof.
I don't know.